It is another picture-perfect weather night for baseball in Oakland, California. And again, a sellout crowd on hand at McAfee Coliseum for Game 2 of this American League Championship Series. The Detroit Tigers came away winners last night in a 5-1 decision, and the Athletics trying to even the series with Esteban Loaiza on the mound tonight. And a pleasant good evening to you. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome once again to playoff baseball here on Fox. How important is this one for the Athletics? Consider since 1985 in LCS play, 8 times, the team that lost the first 2 games of a series at home not once came back to win that league championship series. And well, Steve Lyons, you talk about the Detroit Tigers. They're feeling good about things right now until you talk about the Sean Casey injury from last night. He might miss the rest of this LCS.
Well, it's a huge blow to Detroit because it's the one place in their postseason roster where they really weren't protected. They don't have another first baseman. If you think about it, you know, Chris Shelton played more games at first base than any other Tiger. Now they have to move Guillen over to play first base. They put Nefi Perez at short. Good defense, not a big bat. That one injury caused them to make 3 different changes in their lineup.
Well, the Oakland Athletics certainly have their fair share of problems, Lou Piniella, going into Game 2. Primarily the inability to hit with runners in scoring position. They tied an LCS record last night. They went 0 for 13.
Yeah, last night they were very futile in that department. They left a lot of runners in scoring position, and that's been a problem for them all year. That's the bad news. The good news, invariably, if you get men in scoring position, you're going to get some base hits and get them in. And the good news with Oakland, with their good pitching, if they can do that, they're going to win a lot of games in this series.
Justin Verlander, Esteban Loaiza, the starters here in Game 2 tonight. Last night, the Tigers jumping all over Barry Zito and came away with a 5-1 win. Tonight, the A's try and chop down the rookie right-hander Justin Verlander, and Kenny Maka leaning hard on Esteban Loaiza. Game 2 from Oakland is coming up next. Sicilian lasagna pizza. Go for the good stuff. And buy Flomax. A's have taken the field. We're just about set for Game 2 of this American League Championship Series. Let's take a look at Jim Leyland's starting lineup for the Tigers. A number of changes after the injury to Sean Casey. Curtis Granderson leads off in center. Nefi Perez, the starting shortstop. Placido Polanco at second. Maglio Ordonez in right. Carlos Guillen at first. Ivan Rodriguez catching. Craig Monroe in left field. Alexis Gomez, the DH. And Brandon Inge, who had 3 hits including a home run, is at third. And getting the ball for the Oakland Athletics, won 11 games during the regular year against 9 defeats. An ERA a shade under 5 is Esteban Loaiza. And his pitcher profile is brought to you by your Exxon and Mobil retailers.
Those numbers are ugly, Tom, but he's been a lot better since August 1st. 7-2. He throws a real hard sinker. He throws mostly away to righties. He's got a cutter and a slider. Right there in the profile it says cutter or slider. Sometimes he goes harder on that cutter. It makes it look a lot more like a slider. Down and in the left-handed hitters.
Just about set for the first pitch. Budweiser Select. Brewed longer for a bold taste. It finishes clean. Expect everything. Our broadcast is always available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. We are set to go as Curtis Granderson will lead things off. Went 2 for 5 in Game 1, scored a run, and had a double. He has 7 hits and 22 postseason at-bats, including a pair of home runs. Loaiza rocks, kicks, and delivers. Ball 1 down low, and we are underway in Oakland.
And a quick impression. These Oakland fans showed a lot more urgency here in Game 2 than in Game 1.
They had very little to cheer about in the game here last night.
Well, maybe if they opened up the upper deck here, they'd have more people in here cheering. They have less seats in this stadium right now than they have in Boston. Look at the upper deck up there, all of it tarped off. They will open it, however, for the World Series if the A's make it.
Grounded foul up the first base line.
And I don't know why you don't open up the upper tank, sell those tickets for $10 and let as many people that want to come to playoff baseball get in here and enjoy it.
Loaiza signed by the A's to a 3-year contract during the offseason. Went on the disabled list early in the year. Was really struggling at an ERA of over 8 through the first month and a half. Granderson lifts a fly ball in the left field, and room at the track for Jay Payton. One away. The Athletics very good defensively during the regular season. Did not play well on defense here last night. Only one error, but did not turn a double play that should have been turned. Jimenez getting to start at second base after the injury to Mark Ellis during the division series. Scudero the shortstop, Chavez and Swisher on the corners, and an outfield of Payton, Kotsay, and Bradley. Navy Perez gets a start at shortstop tonight, with Guillen moving over to first base. Navy came over from the Cubs late in the year, played in 21 games with the Tigers, hit 200 with 5 runs batted in. But one of those kind of players we've seen through the years. There are nights where all of a sudden he'll have a 3-hit game, drive in a couple of runs, and play beautifully in the field. He can go the other way at times.
Well, Nilfi Perez is a veteran player, so he should be up to the task of getting the job done. He's always been a good defensive player, and that's really what Leland needs out there. He's got enough power in that lineup.
1-2 delivery, and it's on the outside corner, strike 3. 2 away in the inning, and let's welcome in the 4th member of our broadcast crew tonight, Chris Myers. Good evening, Chris.
Hey, Tom. How you guys doing? Steve mentioned the stadium here. The sun shining off the facade of the outfield. That glare had hitters talking yesterday and again today. Within about an hour, it should ease up, especially on the corners. Some of the players considering wearing sunglasses, but said that would interfere with the shady spots. So they're going to have to make an adjustment. It was at the point that the sun was not in the way yesterday when the Tigers opened up their offensive barrage. So that's the way the hitters are thinking, that the pitcher is going to have the definite edge until that sun and that glare is off the glass.
Placido Polanco, the batter, behind a strike. 1-1. Polanco 1 of 4, drove in a run. Also reached base via a walk in Game 1 of the League Championship Series last night. 8 hits so far for Polanco during the postseason. When he was out with that separated shoulder, the Tigers really struggled. And there's a base hit that finds a hole into left field.
You know, it's kind of funny, Lou. Everybody's talking about the glare off the windows, and it's not really the window. It's the tinted shades that they can pull down, and the glare comes off those tinted shades so that the people in the stands don't have the sun in their eyes. This is where the shading and the big glare is just gleaming right back down into the player's eyes when you're at the plate.
And talking to a few of the hitters yesterday, it was primarily the left-hand hitters that were bothered with it more than the righties.
Now Maglio Ordonez looks at strike 1 at the knees. 1 for 4 in Game 1, also drew a walk. Has 1 home run and 3 RBIs during this postseason. The 0-1. Swung on and fouled out of play. The MO on Loaiza. He throws a lot of strikes. And he's doing that here in the opening inning tonight.
Well, Loaiza's a veteran pitcher. He knows how to pitch. He's got that really good cut fastball. He changes some location and speed on his pitches, but you're right. The strength that he has is going right after the hitter.
0-2. Struck him out. 1 hit, 1 left. The Athletics set to square off with Justin Verlander when we return. Sponsored by your Exxon and Mobil retailers. We're drivers too. By MasterCard and by the Odyssey from Honda. Respect the band. Ben Maka's starting lineup for the Oakland Athletics in Game 2 of this LCS. Jason Kendall catching, Mark Kotsay in center, Milton Bradley in right. Frank Thomas hitless in the first game is a DH. Eric Chavez at third, Jay Payton in left. The latter third of Nick Swisher, Marco Scudero, and D'Angelo Jimenez. On the mound for the Tigers, right-hander Justin Verlander. A 17-game winner during the regular season. This pitcher profile brought to you by your Exxon and Mobil retailers.
17 wins as a rookie. He's got that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got to have a good feel of the curveball to be effective.
Kendall, a fly ball in the short right center field. Polanco out to get it. One away.
Third point on that pitcher profile is that sometimes he gets ahead of himself. Don't rush, slow down, drop and drive, and do what you do. Having that feel for the curveball is key for him, because even though he throws very, very hard, if he has to rely on just the fastball and a changeup, hitters can sit on that. And he has a devastating curveball when he's got it going good.
Verlander, the Tigers' #1 pick back in June of 2004, only 2 years ago. And the native Virginian, starting his second postseason game. He started game 2 of the division series against the Yankees. Did not figure in the decision. But what a huge game that was for the Tigers. That was the game, that was the win, where they knew they could play with the New York Yankees. Marcotte looks at a fastball right down the middle on a 2-0 pitch. A strike.
Well, it's very impressive when a 23-year-old can step up that big in a big series against New York.
In Yankee Stadium.
Well, not only did they know that they could play with the Yankees from that point on, they flat out outplayed them for the rest of that series from that point on.
3-1 delivery. And Kotze had a fastball at 96 miles per hour thrown right by him.
You're not catching up with that one, not when it's up around your letters.
Well, Verlander's just starting to loosen up.
That one lined into right center field. And knocking it down is Ordonez, but couldn't field it cleanly. So Kotze into second with a stand-up double. Good effort by Ordonez. I'm not sure it's not a double anyway, even if he picks it up.
Absolutely. Ordonez was doing everything he could to get to that ball so it didn't get to the wall. He couldn't quite stop it. Gets his glove on it, kind of just kicks it back. As soon as Kotze sees that, he knows he's going for 2. But if this ball gets by Ordonez, it's an easy triple or easy double and maybe a triple the way Kotze runs. Nice swing.
Now Milton Bradley. He had 2 hits and 4 at-bats, including a double last night. Looks at ball 1 up and away. So here we go again with the Athletics. With runners in scoring position during this entire postseason, they have 4 hits in 43 at-bats and won a series.
Swept a series.
That one gets away from Rodriguez. And advancing on to third is Kotze.
You're not going to see this happen very often with Rodriguez behind the plate, one of the best in the business. He just got lazy on that ball, didn't get down on his knees, and didn't try to block it.
Well, that was a changeup. Usually you don't see changeups get by major league catchers.
Yeah. Well, you don't get down on your knees and try to block it. You just try to backhand it. There's only one catcher in baseball that ever could do that. That was Johnny Bench.
Swing and a miss on a 2-0 pitch clocked at 100 miles per hour.
And again, something very surprising here. In the first inning, Detroit playing their infield in.
Well, Jim Leyland must believe, obviously, this is going to be a low-scoring affair. And a soft liner out of the reach of Polanco. And by bringing the infield in, rather than a soft line drive out, it is 1-0 A's.
Yeah, usually in that first inning, Tom, you want to give the other team a run, get the out. You got to have confidence in your offense. Wasn't a very good swing, but it just was enough to get the ball over Polanco's head in the right field.
I'm not sure that he barely had one hand on the bat when he made contact.
Well, the A's finally get their first hit in this series with a runner in scoring position after going 0 for 13. Was tied an LCS record last night. It's time for our keys to tonight's game, brought to you by MasterCard.
Well, for Detroit, they've been the best pitching team in baseball all year long. Just continue to do what you do best. And for Oakland's hitters, with runners on, relax, not press, just get the job done.
Now they're already 1 for 1 in this game after 4 for 36 with runners in scoring position. All right, that's a balk right there on Verlander. I think he kind of hooked his cleat when he went to throw. Verlander does have a very quick move. He's an outstanding athlete. He may have stumbled a little bit when he went to go over and try to make that pickoff throw. Let's check it out again. Oh, there's the balk right there. He started and then stopped. You can't do that.
Hunter Wendelstedt, the home plate umpire, picked up the ball. So now Bradley in scoring position for Frank Thomas. And a fastball is high, 2-0. Verlander became the first Tiger rookie to win at least 17 games in a season since Mark the Bird Fivridge back in 1976, won 19 games. 2-0 to Frank Thomas. Fastball right down the middle. He takes a strike. The rest of the judiciary here tonight: Darrell Cousins at first, Chuck Merriweather at second, Gary Cedarstrom at third. A six-man umpiring crew for the postseason. Mike Riley down the left field line, Jerry Crawford up the right field line.
Well,
at 100 miles per hour.
How you get big Frank Thomas out? You overpower him, and that's exactly what Verlander did with that pitch. Good high fastball.
Zip. 100 miles an hour.
Boy, would you like to throw that hard, Steve?
I don't want to have to try to hit it.
3-2. And there you see something you pointed out, Steve. Jim Leland told us today. Verlander needs to be able to throw the curveball for strikes. And so far, not a good feel for that pitch.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but you could be down 3-0 before you figure it out.
Strike three, Thomas gone. 2 away in the inning.
Nothing fancy. Here it comes. Hit it. Frank just did.
So now Chavez. 1 for 3 in game one. Also drew a walk. Fastball up and away. Talked about all the injuries that Chavez has had to play through this season because of leg injuries. It forced him to use his arms almost exclusively in his swing, which caused tendonitis in his forearms. Went into Ken Maka's office during the year and said, "Bat me ninth." Strike on the outside corner. So Maka did him a favor and hit him 8.
Well, it's amazing. When he came up, they weren't sure he was going to be a good fielder, but they were really confident about his hitting. And boy, has he become a good fielder. This year with the injuries, it's hurt his hitting a little bit, but he's feeling much better. I think he'll have a good series.
Down and in. The Athletics have the third worst batting average with runners in scoring position among all major league teams this year. Swing and a miss by Chavez on a 2-1 pitch, now 2-2. And Eric only hit .202 in those situations.
Boy, watching Verlander here early, I can see where if he's getting his breaking ball over, he's going to get a lot of punch outs.
Yes, he is.
Fastball up.
That should be pointed out, too, since August 1st. Verlander was just 4-5. ERA of up over 4.44. Loaiza, on the other hand, was 7-2 in that same period. Contrast in pitching.
3-2 the count on Chavez. Line hard into center field. Granderson is there, and in the sunshine makes the catch. But the A's jump on Verlander for a run in the opening inning. Top of the second inning, game 2 of this American League Championship Series, and the Athletics out to a 1-0 lead. Carlos Guillen to lead things off. 9 hits and 19 at-bats during this postseason. 1 for 5 in game 1 last night. He makes only his 5th start of the entire season at first base. That one driven down the left field line and up against the wall. A leadoff double for Guillen.
Now, this is flat out the best hitter on this team, and one of the reasons is because he does exactly that. Doesn't try to do too much with the ball. Will hit the ball where it's pitched. That ball's a sinking fastball away from him. He just goes out and pokes it down the left field line.
That is now a whopping 15 doubles so far in this postseason for the Detroit Tigers. They had 12 in the 4-game division series against the Yankees. 2 last night and 1 by Guillen tonight. Pudge squares around a bunt, takes up and in for a ball.
I think Pudge might be just trying to get Chavez in. I don't think he'll be bunting in this situation.
Oh, he's a great opposite field hitter, so he's going to take the chance of getting a base hit to right field, and if he doesn't, he most likely will hit the ball to the right side and move Guillen over anyway.
Swinging a foul ball back out of play in game 1 of the 4th inning last night. Rodriguez, a solo home run, extending the Tigers' lead to 3-0, his 4th career postseason home run. And you saw the note a moment ago. With a minimum number of 25 at-bats, with runners in scoring position, Ivan Rodriguez is baseball's all-time leader, hitting with runners in scoring position. And right here, he just gets a job done. Yep. Advancing the runner on to third. That is a big league piece of hitting right there by one of the all-time greats.
Well, you need to advance runners, especially early in the ball game. And Rodriguez does an excellent job of doing that.
Now, people sitting around at home say it was just a harmless ground ball to the right side, but that's exactly what they wanted him to do. Hit the ball to the right side. If you get a base hit, maybe you drive him in, but you darn sure better get the job done and get him over to third base with less than 1 out, less than 2 outs.
Well, now the A's going to bring their infield in for Craig Monroe. 1 hit and 4 at-bats, including an RBI. Also drew a walk in game 1.
Well, both managers are using the same strategy. They don't want to give up a cheap run early in the ball game.
Would you do it, Lou?
Early in the ball game, I like to get some outs. I don't like to get extra base runners on base so the other team can have a big inning.
Yeah, because the drawback is if you do pull the runners in or pull your fielders in, the potential for a big inning is there if they start stringing base hits together because you are in.
Usually singleton runs don't beat you. When you start putting crooked numbers on the board, that's what beats you.
And we saw in the last half inning when Jim Leyland brought his infield in. Not only did the soft liner get out of the reach of Polanco to bring in a run, but Bradley wound up going to second base on a walk. They just couldn't get any more hits to put those crooked numbers up. Jim Leyland taking a 3rd franchise to the postseason this year. Got the Pirates there 3 consecutive years as champions then of the National League East. And then in 1997 led the Florida Marlins to the World Series title, downing the Cleveland Indians. Infield in. 1-2 pitch. Just low.
Craig Monroe has struggled a little bit in the second half of the season, but he's hit 2 postseason home runs. And I like the way he matches up with Loaiza. Loaiza occasionally will try to run that 4-seam fastball up in the zone with 2 strikes. Monroe, a pretty decent high ball fastball hitter.
There's that pitch up. Although Monroe, you saw the note there a moment ago, only 1 hit in 12 at-bats against Loaiza. But a chance here to just put the bat on the ball and bring in a run to tie this game after Rodriguez advanced the runner on to third. He does put the bat on the ball. This one in the deep right field. Milton Bradley, a nice running grab. But tagging and scoring is Guillen. The Tigers get him on, get him over, and get him in.
Well, that's classic playoff baseball.
Tigers doing a nice job of getting that run across. But I'll tell you what, this is a nice play by Milton Bradley. Great route to this ball, straight across. This is the type of play that if this ball gets by you, you're looking at a run scored, and at least a double, maybe a triple, and you get a lot of style points for those sweet shades he's wearing.
Hey, you were talking about those, Psycho, about a half hour before the game.
Hey, it looks like Elton John out there.
He was jealous. He wanted to pair up here.
You know, you ought to go down and talk to your buddy as Alexis Gomez getting his first start of this series. Lines it to Bradley in right field. We'll get one more look at those shades. 1-1 game. Bottom half of the second inning, game 2 of this American League Championship Series. A 1-1 game, and Jay Payton to lead things off. First pitch swinging.
A high fly ball into left field. One pitch and one out. That'll bring Nick Swisher to the plate back on April the 18th. When the Tigers came west, Nick Swisher against Justin Verlander. Not just once, a 2-run home run in the second inning, but twice. Got him for a solo shot in the 7th. One of 6 games this year, Swisher had more than one home run in a game. He hit 35 overall on the season, but a very quiet postseason for Nick Swisher. Let's send it downstairs to Chris Myers.
Swish talked about that 2-homer game, said he got fastballs from Verlander, and he said the last time he faced him, it was breaking ball and changeup that got him out. So he's anxious to see which will work here. He said his father, Steve Swisher, called him this morning watching, said, hey, you looked nervous last night. Don't be nervous in this game.
1-1 account to Nick. Grew up in West Virginia. Played collegiately at The Ohio State University.
Well, that's pretty good advice from his old man. What you need to do in these type of games is relax and let your ability take over.
Foul ball back to the screen. The dish on Swish. What's going on, man? We've heard that about 9 times this year when we've come in to do Oakland games. Was an outstanding football player recruited by the Fighting Irish to play strong safety, and didn't get much of a baseball scholarship to go play for Ohio State. So he really got overlooked by everybody as far as his ability in baseball was concerned.
How many scouts do you think scour West Virginia for baseball?
Big hurt, middle hurt, little hurt. There's the big one.
Probably not very many, to answer your question, but there are a lot of good baseball players that come out of the Midwestern part of the country. There's strike 3 called to Swisher. A breaking ball in the outside corner.
Well, we talked about the feel for the breaking ball. Here it is. Watch him jelly leg a little bit. Looking for that fastball. He's out in front, can't pull the trigger. When you're looking for 100 and you get about 85, you can't hit it.
Well, he was wondering how Verlander would attack him tonight. He just found out.
I don't believe Swisher's nervous at all, though.
Marco Scutaro, hitless in game 1, fouls it out of play. Scutaro, of course, drove in 6 runs during the division series. Had 4 doubles. All 4 of his hits were doubles.
You talk about a guy that turned it on. I mean, mid-June, this guy was hitting a .188. Very similar to Frank Thomas.
He got a chance to play, and the rest is history. One of the main reasons that this Oakland A's team is here in the playoffs right now.
Especially in the second half, like they always do. Put that second half run on. Was a 300 hitter in the second half with an on-base percentage of up around 380. So he was getting on base, whether the rest of the boys were driving him in or not.
And of course, he is filling in for the injured Bobby Crosby, who was the American League's Rookie of the Year. And Crosby has been injured almost this entire season. Here's a 1-2. What a breaking ball by Verlander. He strikes out 2 of the 3 in the inning.
I think he found the touch.
Brandon Inge to lead things off when we return. A 1-1 game as we begin the 3rd inning. And Esteban Loaiza delivers a fastball, strike 1 to last night's hero for the Tigers, Brandon Inge. He only had 2 hits during the division series without an RBI. And then in game 1, 3 for 3 with a home run and 2 batted in. He pops it up to the second baseman, Jimenez. 1 away. Talked about Inge. Not only the 3 hits, was on base 4 times. Had the solo home run in the 3rd inning. That was the first run of the game. And then in the 4th, a double, scoring Marcus Timms. And that extended the Tigers' lead to 4-0. Breaking ball popped up by Granderson.
When's that going to come down?
Oh, Kendall had to battle that one now.
Well, it's not easy, that high sky here in Oakland.
I think it was the burnout upon re-entry. That thing went about a mile up. Right now, Kendall is saying stuff in his mind that we can't repeat on TV.
But look at the concentration. He just looked that ball right into his glove.
Now Navy Perez with 2 down and nobody on, and we're getting a look here tonight at something, Steve Lyons, you brought up before the ball game last night. The Tigers, a very free swinging team. They strike out a lot, don't walk a lot. But last night they showed unbelievable patience against Barry Zito, and it paid off. They knocked Zito out of the game in the 4th inning, scoring 5 runs. 1-1 to Perez. One hopper back to Loaiza, who sails through the 3rd in 1-2-3 fashion after 2.5, a 1-1 game. Bottom half of the 3rd inning, a 1-1 game. The Athletics scoring in the 1st against Justin Verlander. A 1-out double by Kotsay, scored on a single by Milton Bradley. Strike 1 to D'Angelo Jimenez. The Tigers tie the game. Textbook baseball. A leadoff double by Guillen, a ground ball by Rodriguez to the right side, got him to 3rd, and a fly ball to right by Monroe. Scored Guillen to tie the game. 1-1 to Jimenez, and he pops it up right side of the infield. Polanco is there for the 1st out. It's time for the Holiday Inn look again. Plays from last night. Brought to you by Holiday Inn, the official hotel of Major League Baseball. 4 double plays turned by the Tigers on defense. The 2nd, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th.
Double vision.
Jason Kendall popped up to Polanco his first time up and looks at a fastball, strike 1.
Boy, that fastball really comes out of Verlander's hand very, very easy.
The breaking ball ain't bad either.
They talk about him being a tremendous athlete. I asked him, I said, you know, I haven't seen too many guys throw 100. How do you do it? He said, I don't know. He said, not more physically gifted than other guys. He got all scientific on me. He started talking about fast twitch and, you know, other muscles that store energy. And, you know,
and knowing you, that's going south.
I just walked away. I had no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, just go get him.
I know one thing.
2 hopper to Perez, who charges, throws, got him. You know one thing, Mr. Piniella?
He gathers himself very, very easy. He's got really good balance on that mound. And he really gets leverage when he throws that baseball.
Good drop and drive guy.
Well, tomorrow night on Fox, it will be Game 1 of the National League Championship Series from Shea Stadium. The Cardinals and the Mets. Our coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on Fox. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, and longtime Arizona Diamondback Luis Gonzalez will be on the call tomorrow night from the Big Apple. Game 1 rained out. Scheduled for tonight.
Yeah, early in the ball game, Verlander was missing up with his fastball, trying to overthrow it a little bit. Now he's starting to get that ball down, starting to mix his changeups and his breaking balls. Boy, he's really, really pitching effective.
Kotsay hit a bullet into right center field, but went for a double in the 1st inning, and Kotsay scored the only Oakland run on a base hit from Milton Bradley. Breaking ball, grounded foul.
Steve, about the future of this Detroit team with 2 23-year-old right-handers in a rotation?
You want that job?
No, I'll tell you, but that's impressive, isn't it?
Right. As long as they stay healthy.
1-2 pitch. And a fastball is up at 97. Not a lot of fooling around out there by either one of these pitchers. Loaiza or Verlander, they get the ball and go get them. Breaking ball, fought off by Kotze. Boy, you talk about the future is now indeed, Lou. Justin Verlander, 23. Granderson, 25. Bonderman we'll see in game 4, 23. And the big fella, Joel Zumaya. He even drinks champagne fast. Barely old enough to have any champagne. He's 21.
There's Kenny Rogers on that list.
Into left field, and Kotze, another extra base hit. 2 at-bats, 2 doubles after bouncing into 2 double plays last night.
Sometimes Kotze is one of the forgotten men in this lineup for the A's, but man, he stormed back. Even with his back issues in the second half, he hit .326, not trying to do too much, trying to go the other way. When a guy throws harder, you got to slow things down and be quicker, not swing harder, trying to drive the ball the other way.
Actually, that ball was on the inner half of the plate, and he stayed inside of it, almost inside out of it, out at that ball down the left field line. Good approach to hitting.
Now Milton Bradley. In the air, right center field, hit well. Goodbye. Milton's fired up.
Bradley did his home run trot for 3 bases and then sprinted the rest of the way home.
Bradley has knocked in all 3 Oakland runs tonight. RBI single, and now breaks a 1-1 tie with a 2-run home run. His 2nd home run in his postseason.
It looked like a off-speed pitch that Bradley just tomahawked into the right center field seats.
Here's Frank Thomas. Grounded foul. Let's take a look at the home run. Is that a changeup?
It looked like a changeup, yes. Up in the zone.
Swing and a miss by Thomas, and that will end the inning. Bradley, the 2-run home run, gives Oakland a 3-1 lead. The League Championship Series on Fox, sponsored by DirecTV. There's good TV, there's better TV, then there's DirecTV. By WebMD, better information, better health. And by Chevy, baseball's #1 fan, Chevy, an American Revolution. Milton Bradley. A single, a 2-run home run, 3 runs knocked in. It's 3-1 Oakland as we begin the 4th. Polanco, Ordonez, and Guillen, the trio to face Esteban Loaiza, who's allowed 1 run on only 2 base hits. He's retired the last 6. Good breaking ball for a strike.
Well, Loaiza struggled a little bit in the 1st inning. And since then, he's been pounding the strike zone. Last inning, 6 pitches, 3 outs.
Just off the outside corner.
There's that little cutter you're talking about.
Away to the righties.
Well, what a start here tonight, though, for Oakland. A very difficult loss as Loaiza drops down and misses inside. 2-2 to Polanco. They had so many chances last night, couldn't cash in. And against a guy like Justin Verlander, with an ERA in the mid-3s, a 17-game winner, to put a 3 spot on the board through the first 3 at-bats. A great start for the A's.
And that's exactly what they needed. Get some confidence. Hitting is contagious.
On the ground and into center field, a base hit by Polanco.
Oh, Milton Bradley can ignite a lineup in a lot of different ways. Not always positive. This one certainly is. You know, his mother down in Long Beach is smiling. It's where he gets his inspiration from. And how about the Oakland Athletics doing some dancing, some sweet handshaking? A lot of having having fun. How much of a rock star is Swisher? Check him out. Looks like he should have a bass in his hands there. Huh. Hot tub.
I wish I could dance like that.
Well, the thing I love about that, I mean, the game's changed. You know that, Lou. They got all these fancy handshakes, guys going crazy. I suppose if we did that when we played, you'd stick one right in my ear hole. But they're having fun.
Into right field, a base hit by Ordonez, making a turn, and stopping at second is Polanco. Bradley got to that ball very quickly and has a strong and accurate throwing arm.
And that's what we talked about with this Oakland outfield. Every one of those guys out there have the ability to play center field. Milton Bradley loves to play center, playing right in this defensive outfield, but he gets to the ball very quickly like he had earlier in the ball game, making a strong throw many times. That's a first-third situation. You don't hold that guy to second very often on a ball down the right field line.
Well, you can see Polanco here just puts on the brakes, and when you have a really good throwing arm in right field, it makes that third base coach a little edgy, especially with no outs. But for my money, I think Polanco could have steamed into third base.
I'm with you. Carlos Guillen, the batter. Guillen doubled into left field in the second inning and scored the only Detroit run. Guillen in his career in 16 at-bats against Esteban Loaiza, 11 hits in their strike. So make it 12 for 17 now after the double his first time up.
That's the point we made in the open of the show. Carlos Guillen playing first base, normally the shortstop. Chris Shelton got more starts at first base than any other Tiger, not even on the postseason roster.
Loaiza in front of Guillen at 0-2.
Well, early in his career, Carlos was prone to injuries. Boy, but his past few seasons, he stayed healthy, and his production is getting better and better every season.
Guillen started his career in the Houston organization, was traded to Lou Pinella's Seattle Mariners in the Randy Johnson deal in 1998, and then traded to Detroit, where he is turning into one of the top players in the American League, but he's gone on strikes. A fastball thrown right by him. Take a look at our game summary presented by Verizon Wireless. If you're just tuning in, Milton Bradley, an RBI single in the first. A double, a ground ball, and a fly ball by Monroe tied the game in the second. Bradley breaks the tie with a 2-run big fly in the Oakland third. Now Rodriguez. Pudge in this at bat, not trying to advance a runner with a ground ball. He's trying to advance him 180 feet.
One of the best opposite field hitters. We've talked about that in this whole series. You see the center and right fielder gap jump into this gap here to try to prevent those hits there. That's where Pudge Rodriguez wants to hit the ball. You see Kotze moving over into that right center field gap to try to prevent a gapper in that area.
Yeah, and that big hole is down the left field line. But Loaiza's going to be pitching him away. So what you do with your defense is you pitch him away and you play him away.
For whatever reason, Lou, it seemed like this year there was more overplaying defensively than any years in baseball I can remember in a long time.
A lot of outfield played their outfield over to the opposite side.
Well, Kendall going to come out to the mound and visit with Loaiza. Obviously, if you're going to start moving around your defense, whether it be the outfield or the infield, as a manager, you must have a lot of confidence in your pitcher to pitch where you want to try to attack the hitter and pitch into your defense, right?
You have to. And you've got to be careful with your off-speed pitches when you're playing people over to the other side, because those off-speed pitches will get hit down the line and they become doubles and triples very, very easily.
Man, we look at Rodriguez. We know he likes to hit the ball the other way, but every once in a while he'll cheat. He'll look in and he'll try to get out in front of one and hook one down the left field line.
Big pitch, 2-0. And it bounces up there. It goes to 3 balls and no strikes. Being very, very careful here with Rodriguez.
And one of the reasons also, you see more and more home runs hit to the opposite field, over the center field fence. When I played, I think, Steve, when you played, you didn't see that as prevalent as you do today.
We didn't have the guns to hit the ball that far the other way.
A 4-pitch walk to Ivan Rodriguez to load the bases. We've already seen early in the game, in the first inning, when the A's scored, the Tigers came right back in the second and scored to tie it. Now here we are after a 2-run third for Oakland, and Detroit banging on the door. That's what they've been doing all season long.
Well, Monroe had a great at-bat his first time up when he took that ball to right field and drove in a run. Similar type situation.
They set up way inside, and a swing and a miss. The bases are loaded for the Tigers with one away here in the fourth. Loaiza looking for that double play ball. Monroe with the bases loaded this season, 3 of 9, including a grand slam. A ball to strike.
Detroit's a power hitting team. Power hitting teams are usually more of fly ball type hitters. So you're going to get more flyouts and ground balls from the Detroit team.
Line drive into center field, a base hit, 1 run will score. They're going to hold Maglio Ordonez at third. So Monroe, his second RBI of the game. The bases are loaded, and Oakland's lead is down to 1. Well, that's good hitting right there by Monroe.
Yeah, Monroe told me in the first game of this series that his power and his discipline is up the middle. Unfortunately, he plays in a ballpark where you hit the ball up the middle. It's such a big outfield. Your power numbers go down. But that's great discipline, just hitting the ball right up the middle. And the great arm of Ponce, nice throw to the plate coming right into your living room, is the reason why Ordonez had no chance to try to score on that play.
Well, now the trainer coming out to have a look. I think that's a cramp for Monroe.
Well, one thing for sure, Detroit can't afford too many more injuries.
Speaking of injuries, let's send it downstairs to Chris Myers.
Yeah, Tom, I talked to Tiger first baseman Sean Casey before the game, and he told us, you mentioned it at the top of the broadcast, he is out for the remainder of this series, that second-degree tear in his calf muscle. Jim Leyland said it's unlikely if the Tigers went out of the World Series that he could play there. The first base position, the adjustments there, even Ivan Rodriguez said, if you need me there, I'll play there, but Leyland said that would just be in an emergency. So the effect overall, we'll see how it affects the Tigers without Casey, but at least it's on their minds and having to rearrange their lineup.
Oh, he talked about Casey, one of the most likable, if not the most likable player in baseball today. And a shame that he leaves in the opening game of a league championship series. Here's Gomez, hit the ball very hard his first time up. A line drive at Milton Bradley in right field. And Alexis Gomez, who played in 62 games, got 103 at-bats for the Tigers. A chance to tie it or give him a lead.
Well, Leyland likes this young man. He thinks he's going to be a fine major league hitter with a little more experience, and he thinks he can pop one once in a while for him.
They say he's got unbelievable power. All the Tigers were happy that this was a 5 o'clock start because they say this guy in batting practice puts on a show.
Are you saying he's a 5 o'clock hitter?
5 o'clock hitter.
What time is it?
A little later now, but, you know, game started at 5. They say that he hits balls so deep into the upper deck no matter where they go.
2-1. And that's up 3 balls and a strike. And all of a sudden, Loaiza, who had terrific command in the second and third innings, is laboring with his control here in the fourth. 3-1 pitch. On the ground. Under the glove of Chavez, off the glove of Chavez, and 2 runs are going to score. So the Tigers have scored 3 times here in the fourth inning and lead for the first time tonight.
Boy, if you're Ken Maka, that's not what you want to see. It's just a ground ball. Chavez ranges far to his left, goes under his glove and into short left field.
Yeah, this is one of those plays where it's nobody's fault. He's trying to make the play. And Scuderi's going the other way trying to make the play, but after it glances off his glove, it just bounces into the outfield where nobody is, and another run scores because of it. They couldn't keep the ball in the infield.
Now Brandon Inge with runners on the corners. I guess the one thing you couldn't wonder about, fellas, and Steve, you've been there, Lou, you've been there. Would you like to see Chavez leave his feet there? I mean, you see it all the time on ground balls, and they don't get into the outfield. You know, just smother the thing.
Well, what you want is an infielder, obviously, is to keep that ball from going into the outfield. I think he was trying to turn a double play, and if he dives for that ball, he's not going to be able to do that.
Line drive into center field. Kotze makes a catch. Tagging from third and coming in to score. Whoa, what a throw by Kotze. I don't think Monroe felt it was going to be as close as it turned out to be. But he scores, and it's a 5-3 Detroit lead.
Monroe took a very deliberate path, leaving third base. Wanted to make sure that he didn't leave too early, but Kotze with an outstanding throwing arm. We already saw him hold Maglio Ordonez, and then a very close play right there. Kendall made a nice sweep tag after he snagged that ball. Just a smidgen too late.
And you saw a moment ago, Monroe had to take a breather, having cramps, it looked like, in his calf. And he was limping a little bit going back to the dugout after that slide.
I tell you, I'm impressed with the throwing arms of this Oakland outfield.
Our diamond cam planted just in front of home plate. Bird's eye view for you.
But I was talking before, it's got to be a little disappointing for Ken Maka. They finally push a couple runs across the board, take a 3-1 lead, and before you know it, it's 5-3 Detroit.
Anderson rolls over one foul.
Well, one of the things that I'm impressed with this Detroit team, especially since Jim Leland and the rest of his staff has taken over, is the little things that they do to win, the fundamental things. On that play where Monroe scored, Granderson was right there at home plate being the next hitter, telling him to slide and get down and make sure that he slid at home plate. Those are some things that get overlooked.
Breaking ball off the outside corner. Loaiza wanted the call, didn't get it.
Look at Granderson right there, making sure that Monroe knew that there was a play at the plate and told him he better get down or you're not going to be safe. Nice.
He's even playing umpire.
Foul tipped into the mid of Kendall, and that will stop the bleeding for Loaiza. A 4-run fourth. The Tigers lead by a pair. A 4-run fourth inning against Esteban Loaiza for Detroit. And the Tigers, after 3.5, with a 2-run lead. Chavez, Payton, and Swisher coming up against Justin Verlander, who's allowed 3 runs on 4 base hits, has struck out 4, not walked a batter. Chavez lined out to center, his only time up. The Tigers very careful this season with Verlander. Last year, his first year in professional baseball. And in the minor leagues, they don't play through the month of September. So this year, for the first time in his career, tacking on an extra month to the season. Through 186 innings during the regular year, and they move him back a day here, move him back a day there to make sure they protected that golden right arm. And that's a golden breaking ball, and gone is Chavez.
And that's the right approach by Jim Leland with his young pitcher. Here you'll see a really, really well-placed breaking ball, almost a backdoor variety, unhittable pitch.
A great motion, really good drop and drive. You know, watching Verlander, he reminds me a whole lot of Jack McDowell. With his years with the White Sox and the Yankees, McDowell was a Cy Young Award winner. Very, very similar in their approach. Long, lanky guys. McDowell didn't throw 100, but he had some nasty stuff.
back to Verlander. Last year, pitched 128 innings. This year, he's already over 190. And the Tigers are taking a very safe approach with him, and rightfully so.
Well, Lou, you have to, don't you? I mean, they did the same thing up in Seattle this year with a young Felix Hernandez.
We did the same thing in Tampa Bay with a young Scott Kazmir. These pitchers are just valuable commodities.
And there you see, over the second half, Verlander having to pitch that extra month and knock on the door at 200 innings for the first time in his life.
And one of the reasons he might have struggled a little more the second half of the season is because of fatigue.
Base hit into center field by Jay Payton. So the tying run will come to the plate. And we told you earlier this season, Nick Swisher homered twice in one game against Verlander.
I wish some of my managers would have sat me out of games that I was going to go 0 for 4 on. Just back me out of a few of those. I'd be fresher at the end of the year.
You'd be a 330 hitter.
I'd have been a 230 hitter. A vast improvement.
Swisher called out on strikes, his only time up.
I remember I played with this particular player with the Yankees, and I ride out to the ballpark with him every day, and he lamented the fact that, boy, I'm never in the lineup. So this one particular day we come to the ballpark and he's in the lineup, and I said, buddy, you're in there. He says, I hate that manager. I said, what's wrong? He says, you play me against the only guy on that staff I can't hit.
Swing and a miss, 1 and 2.
Now, Bill Verdon was the manager. I'm not going to tell you who the player was.
So how do you end up doing?
He took his 0 for 4 like a man.
Absolutely. 1-2 on Nick Swisher. See 11 of the 64 pitches tonight from Verlander, reaching triple digits on the radar gun. Fastball up. Now, we brought up earlier in the game, Steve, you touched on Swisher wondering, how they were going to work on him. Chris Myers saying, he hit fastballs against Verlander. A pretty steady diet here of off-speed pitches. Now, that last fastball up in his zone, which makes you believe the hook is coming behind it, or the change. Yep, breaking ball that got away from him. So now what do you do 3 and 2?
Overthrew that overthrew that breaking ball. I come with the fastball. He swung through a fastball before. He's a good fastball hitter. He's had a lot of trouble with breaking balls and changeups, but this is the point in time where you just try to blow him away.
Yeah, this is power against power.
Well, if that's the case, Swisher better tune it up.
Get it up a little bit.
He didn't tune it up, and that's 98 right by him.
Right now, Swisher's having a little bit of trouble. He's got in the back of his mind that they're going to throw breaking balls to him, and he's swinging right through fastballs. Of course, at 98, pretty easy to swing through it.
Boy, you love, though, the approach here by Verlander. Here it is, hit it.
Everybody in the stadium knew he was bringing the gas.
2 away for Marco Scutaro. First pitch breaking ball and a beauty.
Now, why do the 8th hitters that hit singles get those type of breaking balls?
Just to let you know I got it. Look at this thing, jelly leg. You don't know whether to swing or go blind right there.
Yeah, save that one for Big Frank Thomas. Make it fair.
Well, Verlander hadn't been fair to the Big Hurt tonight. He's blown him away twice. Verlander with 6 strikeouts, has not walked about it. Kotsay and Bradley have done all the damage. Kotsay, 2 doubles, 2 runs scored. Bradley, a single and a 2-run homer, 3 batted in.
Boy, I wonder if Scutaro has robbed Rodriguez of a few base hits over there at the shortstop position.
I'm sure he gets everybody sooner or later.
1-1. Came with a fastball. And it's fouled out of play. It might be a silly question, but fellas, you guys face pitchers who threw 92, 93. How much of a difference is it when a guy's throwing 98 and 100? Is it that significant when you're in the box?
Well, it's not very comfortable. You don't get a good look at the ball. You've got to start your swing very, very early. A guy that had a really, really good fastball and a really, really good breaking ball was Bert Blyleven. And he was tough to hit.
You're throwing 98. You're talking about another 10% faster. You got to start everything quicker. You have to do things as a hitter way more quickly than you want to. You want to sit back, wait, recognize a pitch before you make a move to it. When you're throwing that hard, you're starting to make a move before you're having a chance to recognize the pitch.
And that's why if you get the change or you get the hook,
see ya.
Yeah.
And then when you can throw it at the knees in the outside corner like Sandy Koufax used to consistently, you're a Hall of Famer plus. Bob Gibson.
Roger Clemens.
There you go.
Look out.
That's what makes this game scary, because Scudero has to respect the fastball, but he's also seen that big breaking ball. And that pitch is coming out on the same plane. You're not sure which one it is. By the time you recognize it, it's buzzing you.
Verlander only hit 6 batters all season long.
Thank God.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Look out.
Three-two pitch. Payton gets started. And another fastball, and again Scudero tardy, but he's still in there. Eighth pitch in this at bat. Jam shot pop up on a fastball, should in the inning. Ian got it. We're back after a break from your local Fox station. Top of the 5th inning, game 2 of this American League Championship Series. Neifi Perez to lead things off for Detroit, leading 5-3. See, every time the Athletics scored, the Tigers came right back and scored the very next half inning. Slow roller to the right side, gobbled up by Jimenez, one away. They caught up with Ken Maga in between innings and asked him about the disappointment of scoring and then giving runs back.
Well, actually, that's twice. We got a run in the first inning. Yeah, that's what you want, a shutdown. Get a chance to come in there and play with the lead. So actually in the second inning, give up one, and then, we get a nice 2-run homer by Milton, and go back out there and give it up. So it's a little discouraging, but, our guys are pretty tough. We're going to fight back. There's a long way to go in this game.
Yeah, the good news is you guys did break through, put some runs on the board, and there's a lot of ball game left.
Absolutely. So let's get a couple more innings out of Elo here and see what our offense can do.
Thanks, Kitty.
All right.
Down the right field line, that will fall in a base hit for Placido Polanco, and he is 3 for 3 tonight. Boy, you can't talk enough about Polanco, who injured his shoulder in the month of August, missed a lot of time, and that's really where the Tigers began to drift after playing as the best team in baseball for the first 3.5 months. When they got him back, they're back being the Tigers.
What a big difference in that lineup when Polanco's in there. I didn't like him in the 3-hole tonight, and boy, has he delivered. He's just a professional hitter. It doesn't really matter whether you hit him first, second, third, or wherever you hit him in the lineup. He's going to hit the same.
Why didn't you like him in a 3-hole?
Well, you usually like the 3-hole hitter to have a little more power. But you know what? Jimmy's done a nice job with this lineup.
That ball hammered down the left field line. Is it fair? Is it foul?
And it is a foul ball. And a good thing for Mr. Loaiza.
Well, Magdaleno Ordonez stood right at home plate, didn't argue this at all. It was very, very close down the line. Watch Mags look at it. He's trying to bend it around that pole, but clearly on the left side of that foul pole.
That ball was mashed. Oh. White back to the mound. Can they turn the double play? They do. A's come to bat in the bottom of the fifth, trailing by a pair. Baseball's #1 fan, Chevy, an American Revolution. Some of the new Chevys displayed on the concourse here at McAfee Coliseum. And also on display, 23-year-old right-hander Justin Verlander. He's only allowed hits to 2 batters. Kotsay is 2 for 2. Milton Bradley 2 for 2. I beg your pardon. Jay Payton mixed in a single in the 4th. Jimenez to start things. And a strike called on the outside corner. D'Angelo Jimenez popped up to second his only time up. Milton Bradley has knocked in all 3 runs. With an RBI single and a 2-run home run.
Oh, guys, there's 2 guys in this ball game today that started their professional careers when we were all trying to get our first kiss. Jimenez and Gomez both signed at 16 years old. Jimenez with the Yankees, Gomez with the Royals.
Well, Steve, I got my first kiss before I was 16.
I know you got your kiss way before 16, didn't you?
That's because you were the big stud athlete. For the rest of us mortal men out there, we were still hanging around waiting.
Oh, gosh.
Breaking ball away.
I knew you just looked at me funny when I said that. I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, I know you got kissed way before 16.
Pull to the right side. Polanco from his back. Not in time. What an effort by Placido Polanco.
It's amazing. He makes a great play like that. He's upset with himself because he just couldn't get turned around. He wanted to sit up and make that throw, but his body sort of took a little bad hop there, and he couldn't finish off the play. What a great effort, though.
The catcher, number 18, Jason Kendall.
That is a complete player right there.
This becomes a very important inning now for the Oakland Athletics. After Kendall, you have Kotsay and Bradley, who are a combined 4 for 4 tonight, with 3 runs scored and 3 runs batted in.
Kendall's one of those guys that generally gives you a great at-bat, really battles up there. This A's team as a whole sees a lot of pitches. This is the inning for it.
Well, he's got a nice hole over there between first and second.
That's what you're talking about right in there with the runner being held on. Got a lot of room to hit right in that area. Big gap between first and second.
2-0 pitch. And it's ball 3.
Well, you can bet the house that Kendall's taken on this pitch.
And just like last night, it was the 4th inning in last night's game with runners at second and third and nobody out when Jim Leland came to the mound to visit with Nate Robertson. Tonight it's the 5th with 1 on, nobody out, a 3-0 count, and he's out to chat with Mr. Verlander. And by the way, in last night's game, after that visit and that chat with Robertson, Robertson then struck out Chavez, Swisher, and Scudero.
Well, Jimmy's usually got a pretty nice positive message for these pitchers. And the message tonight is about the same as last night. Look, you got a lead. You're throwing the ball well. Make them hit it. We'll catch the ball behind you.
3-0. Lanier Scranton.
You know, one thing is for sure. When the pitching coach goes out there, usually can talk a little bit mechanics, slow it down. You know, pitch a little quicker, slow, whatever. But
manager goes out.
when the manager goes out there, you don't talk mechanics.
What are you talking about?
You give them a message. You got to throw strikes. We'll catch the ball behind you. We can turn a double play. Give your team a chance to make a play behind you.
3-2. And a slow roller left side, Inge charging. He'll play to first. And Guillen got the foot on the bag after the high throw.
You know, Guillen may have gotten stepped on. Or
He had to go back to the bag.
Head. Let's see if he gets hit right in the head while he's trying to tag the base right there with the elbow of Kendall. Ooh. Most first basemen, remember we told you that Guillen's a shortstop. Most first basemen in that instance will not try to touch first base. If they're pulled off the bag with the throw, they'll tag the runner, not try to go back and touch first base and take your body out of the way of the play. By tagging the base, his head's right there in a spot where it can get hit.
And he made a nice play, actually, jumping for that ball, because with that spacious distance between first base and the stands, you'd have had a run scored and another guy on either second or third.
Yep. For Guillen, tonight is only his 5th start of the season as a first baseman. And it's his first start there since the final day of August.
Well, you talk about Pudge Rodriguez volunteering over there after Chris Shelton, that we talked about already, had the most starts at first, not on the playoff roster. Number 2 over there at first was Rodriguez, getting a chance to play over there, and that's sort of like an off day for him to not have to sit behind the plate. But you want Rodriguez behind the plate in the playoffs.
Now Kotze, a pair of doubles in the game. And he takes outside for ball 1.
Yeah, especially with these young pitchers. You want an experienced catcher back there that can carry the ball game for him.
2-0. Now Kotze ripped a double into right center field in the first inning. Scored on the base hit by Milton Bradley. He doubled down the left field line in the third. Scored on a 2-run home run from Milton Bradley. 3-0. Let's send it downstairs to Chris Myers.
Tom, before the game at the A's clubhouse, Mark Kotze was playing dominoes with some of the A's teammates and losing badly, pushed away from the table and said, I don't think this will get any worse. When I asked him about hitting with runners in scoring position, he said that won't get any worse. He's hoping for a positive domino effect.
4-pitch walk. Boy, and that is not the time you want the walk with a guy who's coming up now. Jackets coming off in that Tiger bullpen. 92 pitches in the game for Verlander, and there's only 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Milton Bradley 2 for 2 with 3 runs batted in. Fastball away.
That's not a good start. He needs to get ahead of Bradley and then try to go to work with his breaking stuff. Bradley's already proved last night he crushed a Zumaya 103 fastball, and he's already proved he can hit Verlander's too.
Fastball up in his zone. The left-hander. Getting ready is Wilfredo Ledesma, and the right-hander, Jason Greeley. Bradley back in the 3rd inning with Kotze aboard. A long one to right center. His 2nd home run in this postseason. And sprinted in from 3rd.
Well, here's a situation when you're heading a count, you got to be very selective.
Oh. That's a 2-0 rip.
And that's a good 2-0 rip is right. Got a good fastball to hit, and he turned it loose.
Oh, man, you can put a good swing on a ball and not quite get it. That's why this game's so tough. Big Frank swinging a piece of iron in the on-deck circle. I don't need no stinking donut.
2-1 to Milton Bradley. Threw a fastball right by him, 99 miles per hour. But we saw last night, whether it's Zamaya on the mound, Bradley had a double against him, or Verlander tonight, Milton Bradley can hit a fastball.
Oh, here's a good time to break one off on him then.
Into shallow center field. Another fastball. And Granderson's there for the second out of the inning.
Well, you got to love the guts of a guy like Justin Verlander. I mean, this is a guy who's got a bunch of different pitches, but he just challenged Bradley on every one. Fastball away. Another fastball up and away. Now he knows he's in a little trouble. Challenges him with another fastball and another, and for good measure, one more time at 100 miles an hour. I know you can hit a fastball. I watched you hit one. I watched you hit my changeup out of the yard. I got a good breaking ball, but you're getting nothing but gas right here.
And again, since the visit to the mound, Verlander gets Thomas on a ground ball down to third, and the struggles continue for Frank Thomas since hitting 2 home runs in the division series. He's hitless in the LCS. Championship Series on Fox, sponsored by Budweiser Select, brewed longer for a bold taste that finishes clean. Expect everything. Top of the 6th inning we go. In Oakland, California, Game 2 of this American League Championship Series. The Tigers lead in the best of 7, 1-0. And again, a Game 2 loss would be a serious blow for the Athletics if they hope to advance to the World Series. I brought up earlier, 8 teams have lost both games 1 and 2 at home in the LCS going back to 1985. That's spanning both leagues. And all 8 went on to lose a series.
Well, you got to go back to Detroit, where Comerica Park is electric now. The joy is back in Tiger baseball in that town, and they're going crazy.
We were talking before the game. Detroit, even through lean years, it has always been a great baseball town. Looking forward to getting there Friday night.
Bring your jacket. It's going to be a little chilly.
Boy, I remember old Tiger Stadium with the Norm Cashes and the Al-K lines and the Willie Hortons, the Mickey Lolages. That town loves its baseball.
How about the Gibsons and the Whitakers and the Trammels?
Ooh, that 84 team.
Goodness.
Sparky Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Morris, Dan Petrie.
I'm just a little older than you, Steve.
Hey, we all have our memories.
Yeah. Even remembering if you were trying to get a first kiss at 16.
Bill Freehand.
Did he get one at 16?
Swung on a miss by Guillen. One away. Here's tonight's WebMD injury report, focusing on Sean Casey's calf injury that happened in the 6th inning last night. A small tear in the left calf muscle. There's an outside shot. Casey's back. Should this go to a game 6 or 7, more than likely will not be back at all. And debatable that should the Tigers get to the World Series if he could play. That's a big hit. To get an inside look at injuries affecting your team, go to WebMD.com and search sports injury. Line 1 Hopper. Nice play by Jimenez. 2 away. Speaking of injuries, let's check in with Chris Myers.
Well, Tom, this didn't make headline news, but our own Lou Piniella, leaving the game last night, bumped his head on our trailer, and his head was bleeding today. Had to see the trainer to have stitches in that head. He's okay. The stitches where the next team that hires him as a manager wants to make sure his brains didn't fall out. and we kid because we care, Lou. You know that.
Thanks, Chris.
We were worried about you. I mean, you and I and Steve were walking out of here last night. You duck underneath, where all the TV trucks, and then bang, next thing you know, you've got blood running down the side of your head. You got woozy. Let's take a look at that thing here. I mean, you actually got stitched up today.
Well, we got some stitches and we got some super glue in there.
Jim Leland had the greatest line. He goes, I hope you don't have a concussion. You might take a job you don't want.
That was a great line.
But listen, where can you do a job, bang your head, and still get paid?
That's exactly right.
I've been doing it for a long time.
Well, we're glad you're all right, big fella. We were worried about you last night.
Thank you.
Well, he went down to one knee. The truck almost knocked him out.
One thing for sure, I'll be walking around the trucks from now on.
Absolutely. 1-1 account on Monroe, who has knocked in a couple of runs tonight. A sac fly in the second, a run-scoring single in that 4-run fourth.
I think this is a good move by Jason Kendall right out here. We already talked about it earlier in the game. I think Monroe matches up good against Loiza, especially if he's going to try to throw that four-seamer by him. Good power. Monroe hit a bullet up the middle to drive in a run in his last at-bat, and Kendall wants to make sure they're on the same page right here.
Again, a reminder, tomorrow night, game one of the National League Championship Series from Shea Stadium. Jeff Weaver and Tom Glavine, the game one starter. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on Fox. Only the 77th pitch of the game by Loiza. And that one is shot into right center field. A base hit by Monroe. And he makes a turn and advances on to second. So a real good night today. Steve Lyons, you said you liked the matchup of Monroe against Loiza, despite the fact he was only 1 for 12 in his career coming in.
He's a little bit different guy now. He told me before he's really concentrating on hitting the ball up the middle. Look how far that ball gets into the strike zone. This is a tougher angle. This ball looks like it's out in front of him, but we're looking at a different angle. That ball has traveled very deep into the strike zone before Monroe tries to hit it the other way. It's impossible to hit that ball as hard as he did the other way if he's out front.
Alexis Gomez looks at a strike. He had a big 2-run single off the glove of Eric Chavez in the fourth.
Well, Leland's magic is working again. He puts Gomez in the lineup, comes up with the bases loaded, delivers. First time up, he drilled the ball to right field. Saw that sign earlier in the game, Leland for governor. I believe it.
He can run for the king of Michigan, if there were such a thing, if the Tigers are playing the next round.
He is a guy that has such a great combination of being a gruff, no nonsense, you better come here to play kind of guy with a huge heart, very emotional, and not afraid to show it.
That ball hammered by Gomez in a deep right center field, and the magic touch indeed continues for Jim Leland. Gomez in a lineup has knocked in 4 runs tonight. And it is 7-3 Tigers here in the 6th inning.
Well, what did Jim say in the manager's office before the ball game? I put this young man out there. He just might run into one.
What time is it?
7 o'clock now. They talked about him being a great batting practice hitter with a ton of power.
But one thing for sure, it's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world.
So Alexis Gomez has lined out to right. Lou talked about his first time up. He hit a ball right on the screws at Bradley. A 2-run single in the fourth. Now a 2-run home run, giving the Tigers a 4-run lead. Brandon Inge with a count of 0-2. Saw Godan again throwing in the bullpen. Off the end of the bat, a fly ball to Kotze, and that's that. But Loiza through 6 innings tonight has given up 7 runs. Athletics come to bat, bottom of the 6th inning, trailing 7-3. Strike one to Eric Chavez. Let's send it downstairs to Chris Myers.
Tom, 34-year-old Major League pitcher Corey Lytle, as many know by now, died in a plane crash in New York City piloting the aircraft. He had been with 6 different Major League teams, including the Oakland A's in 2001, 2002, when they were a playoff team. Baseball holding a moment of silence earlier before this game for Corey Lytle. Ken Maka.
A ball in the air way back into right center field, and Chavez plays long ball. Of course, Chavez and Barry Zito were both here when Corey Lytle was here.
Number 16,
Makes it a 7-4 game.
Tom, as you mentioned, Eric Chavez, Barry Zito, some of the closer teammates of Lytle on the team. Ken Maka, his manager, at a quiet moment before the game, talking about the kind of guy he was, the kind of player he was, and that he would be on everyone's mind as they played the game here tonight. And it made Maka think about, as he told me, that you should enjoy every moment of, whether it's every inning, every day in your life, no matter how old or how young you are. So Corey Lytle remembered here tonight. Eric Chavez, one of his teammates, on cue, delivering a timely home run in his memory.
Certainly our thoughts and prayers out to Corey Lytle, his family, and his friends. Lou Piniella, you lost a teammate suddenly, the great Thurman Munson.
Yeah, back in 1979, August 2nd, I remember getting a phone call from Mr. Steinbrenner and letting myself and my family know about Thurman and what a shock it was. And boy, when you lose a teammate, it's like losing your brother.
In the fraternity of baseball, you feel like whether you played with Corey Lytle or not, you feel like you did lose a teammate. Everybody involved in the game, and our thoughts and prayers certainly go out to his family.
Jay Payton looks at a strike. 1-2 to count. Activity again in the bullpen. Again, it's Ledesma and Greeley. And this is off the outside corner. Should Payton reach? I think Leland's coming out there to get him. What do you think, Lou?
I think he'll come out to get him. He might get him even if he gets Payton out.
Lined into left field. It hangs up there long enough for Monroe to get it. Couple of hard hit balls to begin this sixth against Verlander. Well, now, do you want to turn around Swisher? Yes is the answer. Or Mr. Piniella, maybe you've managed a time or two before. We'll take a break and be right back. .25-year-old left-hander Wilfredo Ledesma takes over on the mound. Began the year at AAA Toledo before joining the Tigers for the remainder of the season on June the 15th. They picked up Ledesma, did the Tigers, from Boston in the Rule 5 draft back in 2002. Threw the ball very, very well for Detroit in 24 games, 7 as a starter. Nick Swisher fouls it back out of play. 1 in, 1 out. Nobody on last to the 6th inning. A 7-4 Tigers lead here in game 2. Rule 5 draft, for those that don't know what that is, if a player's been in an organization's minor league system for 5 years and is not on a 40-man roster, the rule was created in essence to allow that minor leaguer to go to another major league franchise where he can be given a chance to play at the big league level. But when you bring somebody over in the Rule 5 draft, they go on the big league roster, or you have to send him back for $50,000 from a team that he came from.
It's a fairly cheap purchase when you think of what free agent pitchers make.
There you go.
Well, Ledesma's one of those guys, pretty straightforward mechanically, very, very sound, repeats his delivery almost every time exactly the same way. And as a lefty, he can bring it. He got good enough power fastball to throw the ball by you, so you have to respect his breaking stuff.
2-2 on Nick Swisher. Out of play, Swisher has struck out twice tonight. Both of those at bats, of course, against Verlander.
You know, I didn't see the Detroit club all that much this summer, but looking at the power that they throw at you, you can see why their pitching has been so good.
You know, one of the guys that we didn't mention too was their first-round draft pick out of North Carolina this year, Miller.
Andrew Miller,
who actually came up and threw a big league game, and he can flat out bring it. Footnote to that, the Oregon State Beavers beat them in the College World Series this year. Thank you.
That's Miller out of the University of North Carolina, and Steve's alma mater, collegiate baseball champions. Why not brag about it?
Someone's got to.
3-2 to Swisher.
Great move here by Leland, switching Swisher to the other side. Only 8 of his 35 homers come from the right side. Leland wanted to make sure Verlander got out of this game with a lot of confidence, take him out, slap him on the rear end, and say, you know what, you had another great start for us. It's a quality start. You're into the 6th. You only gave up 4 runs, and we're going to win this ball game for you.
And that's very important for the psyche of a young pitcher.
Sure. I don't care how much success you had this year.
Pretty good battle here. Ledesma throwing fastball after fastball at 95, and Swisher wasting them. Well, the Athletics have no chance in this series if Chavez and Swisher don't get it going. And throw in Frank Thomas, who doesn't have a hit yet in the first 2 games. So that trio better get it rolling, or it'll be a 2-day trip into the Motor City and then back home. Swisher takes a walk. Good at bat.
Good at bat.
When we talk about, Chavez obviously hit the home run here in the 6th inning. Chavez had some big at-bats yesterday and couldn't deliver.
Well, that last at bat yesterday, he drove that ball to the deepest part of the ballpark out there in left center field. And today he's followed up swinging the bat pretty well.
Now Scudero struck out looking and popped up to first. Big hole on the right side. Scudero first pitch, Hacken pops it up. 1 away. Here you have a reliever just comes in the game and walks the first batter he faces. And the number 8 hitter in the lineup, Scudero, first pitch swinging up around his chest.
And it's uncharacteristic because this team as a whole sees a lot of pitches. They work counts very well. They do things like Swisher did in his at-bat. And in a situation when you're down by 3, you got to make a pitcher work a little harder. Every guy that comes to the plate needs to act a little bit more like a leadoff hitter until you put yourself in the position where one swing ties it or puts you ahead.
That's where the game has changed so much. So much.
And in theory, that is the right approach. What happens invariably, that's when you try to overdo and you make silly outs.
In there, a strike to D'Angelo Jimenez. 1 for 2 at an infield hit back in the 5th. That's why the most misleading statistic in all of baseball. A guy's batting average when swinging at the first pitch, because they only count the balls that are put in play. They don't count when you foul one off and you're behind 0-1 in the count, and then what happens the remainder of the at-bat. If you put it in play, that's the only time it counted. So all of a sudden you become a 500 hitter on the first pitch in an at-bat if you swing at the first pitch in back-to-back at-bats and you go 1 for 2 putting it in play. Very, very misleading stat.
I'll tell you, Lou, I don't know how you approached it. I was a first ball hitter. I wanted to hit the first fastball I saw. I didn't want to get deep into a count because I wasn't a very confident hitter. Plus, I usually like to swing at the first pitch. That way my 192 batting average would get off the scoreboard and people wouldn't see it for that long.
Well, your better hitters in baseball and the ones that drive in the most runs invariably are the ones that can hit deep in the count and make the pitcher throw more pitches. The more pitches a pitcher will throw, the more apt he is to make a mistake.
Yep. You get a chance to see everything he has, can make adjustments. Bobby Abreu, one of the best in the game.
And here you have Jimenez, who's making Ledesma work. He walked the first batter he faced when he came in the game. Scudero swung at the first pitch and popped up. And now the third hitter he faces, a 3-1 count.
Ledesma's huge here, because even though Jim Leyland got Verlander out of the game on a nice note, you got to feel like the A's are happy to have Verlander out of there too. Let's get Ledesma.
Fly ball into left center field. This should do it, and it will. The home run by Chavez makes it a 7-4 game back after a break from your local Fox station. Taking over on the mound for Oakland following Esteban Loaiza, who allows the A's franchise record 7 earned runs in his 6 innings tonight, is Chad Godin. Base hit into right field on the first pitch by Curtis Granderson. That's his first hit tonight, 3rd in the first 2 games.
Remember now, with the Oakland lead, they can be a little more aggressive. Granderson has base stealing speed, just hasn't had the opportunity to learn how to steal bases. Might see him being a little more aggressive now.
And if I were the infielders from Oakland, I'd be looking for a push punt or something here from Perez also.
Chavez hit on the grass at 3rd, and they pitch out. Thinking something might be up. Ball 1 away. Well, now after they pitch out, they're not going to double up on pitch outs. Would you start maybe a runner here?
I like the idea of bunting in this situation. I really do. You've got a 3-run lead. What you want to do in these last few innings,
as he does indeed put down the bunt perfectly,
is tack on runs. The other team has to score 2.
While we have a moment, let's send it to Los Angeles, and here's Jeannie Zalasko.
Well, this is not what Tom Glavine had in mind when he went to work today, but soft toss was all he got when the rain moved in. Game 1 of the NLCS between the Mets and the Cardinals is now scheduled for tomorrow night on Fox. Same matchup, Mr. Glavine versus Mr. Weaver, again tomorrow night on Fox.
We're very much looking forward to that series kicking off at Shea Stadium. Our Nissan game summary. Jim Leyland told us before the game, I got a good feeling about Alexis Gomez. He might run into one tonight, meaning a home run. He's driven in 4 and has a 2-run home run. Bradley has knocked in 3 of the 4 Oakland runs. Thomas and Swisher hitless in this series. Well, now a visit to the mound by Kurt Young, the Oakland pitching coach. Joe Kennedy, the left-hander, is ready in the bullpen.
A little different style. Leland has been making most of the visits to the mound, and for Oakland, it's been the pitching coach. Well, Godin pitched last night. The same situation as tonight, behind in the score. His job is to keep the game in check.
Polanco with the 3 hits has just been unbelievable. I mean, this guy hit .330 last year. Had the injury, separated shoulder, hit just under 300, but this guy can flat out hit, and certainly the A's understand that now. They're not going to give him a chance to drive in that run from second.
Well, I know this, that he has killed Oakland pitching.
Oh, yeah.
No question. But I'll tell you this. When you're behind in the score and you're putting runners on and you got the middle part of the lineup coming up, you're looking to give up a big inning.
So you don't agree with the move here by Ken Maka?
Well, I'm not saying that I don't agree. What I'm saying basically is that base runners score. And when you're behind in the score, you don't want to be putting too many people on, because you've got the big guys in your lineup coming up. A ball in the gap, you got 2 more runs in.
Just soon see Polanco get a base hit, then have Mags hit a 3-run shot.
And Maglio Ordonez digging in with 2 on and 1 man out. Check swing and a foul ball. Ordonez has bounced into 14 double plays this year, and Godin trying to make it 15. Steady as she goes for the Tigers. They've been wearing it out the entire postseason with runners in scoring position. Tonight, no different.
A little pride put back into that English D, isn't there?
Breaking ball, foul tipped again for strike 2. Maglio Sr. has 1 G in his name. He put in a 2nd G for his son for good luck. Ordonez originally in the Astros organization, and they let him go after he signed as a 16-year-old out of Venezuela. And he learned English by watching closed caption broadcast on television once he came to the United States. 1-2 on Ordonez. This could be that double play, and they barely get the out at second.
Tough play for a middle infielder, a big hopping ball. You're not sure who's going to catch it. You're not sure if you're going to flip the ball or take the play yourself. Everything's so close. And of course, Polanco, you know he's hustling all the way. Just complicates matters there at second.
And now Ken Maka going to come get Godin and bring on the left-hander Kennedy to turn around Guillen. In the 7th with runners on the corners and 2 away. Joe Kennedy comes on to try to retire Carlos Guillen, having him turn around to bat right-handed. He hit .291 as a right-handed batter, .332 as a lefty.
From the left side, he's got more power. But believe me, he's very capable from the right side of driving in runs.
0-1 the count. Fouled out of play, and Kennedy coming in throwing strikes ahead, 0-2. Guillen 2 for 7 in his career against Kennedy.
You wonder why Kennedy comes in this situation being left-handed. He's actually more effective against right-handers than he is against left-handers.
Runners on the corners, 2 away. Lined, caught by the shortstop Scudero. So the A's will bat last to the 7th, trailing by 3. Manual and battery powered, and by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. Back in Oakland, California, bottom of the 7th inning, and the home team trailing 7-4. Top of the order against Wilfredo Ledesma. It'll be Kendall Kotsay and Milton Bradley. Double barrel action in the Detroit bullpen. Again, the right-hander is Jason Greeley, joined by the southpaw Jamie Walker.
Well, Leland's got Greeley ready for Frank Thomas if he needs him. And he's got the other left-hander, Walker, which is a short guy, for Eric Chavez.
Popped up. 1 away as we begin the 7th tonight. HP personality profile focuses on Jason Kendall. His father, of course, a big league player. Gladiator, his favorite movie. And like Steve Lyons, favorite Halloween costume is a vampire. Stone Cold Steve Austin, his favorite wrestler.
Who's your favorite wrestler, Tom?
Used to be George the Animal Smith. His son is a linebacker for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Laurinaitis. That's my guy.
Well, my guy was Hulk Hogan.
Absolutely. And near a strike.
Pretty good curveball here from Ledesma. Nice tight rotation.
0-2 pitch. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. No chance. 2 away.
Boy, those are the kind of at-bats you take where you just feel so helpless. This is an unhittable pitch.
Number 22.
You wonder why you woke up.
They're going to leave in Ledesma, forcing Milton Bradley to bat right-handed. He's down a strike. Bradley a good night. A run-scoring single in the first. Broke a 1-1 tie with a 2-run home run off Verlander in the third. And then flied out to center field his last at bat in the fifth.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Leland does if Bradley gets on with Big Thomas coming up next. He's got the right-hander up there for him, but with Chavez, he's going to have to use 3 pitchers this inning if they all come up to the plate.
High drive into deep left center field, and Bradley has homered for the second time tonight. And now it's a 2-run game. Jim Leland will come get Ledesma and bring on the right-hander to face Thomas. Let's face it, he's just trying to get through the 7th, give it to Big Zamaya and then Todd Jones.
Mound pitched in 51 games during the regular season. He's on to face Frank Thomas in their strike. Really worked solely in relief for the first time in his career, spending his first full year at the major league level. Came up originally as a big leaguer with the Florida Marlins. 0-1 pitch. Fastball away. Frank Thomas admiring the home run, the second of the game by Milton Bradley. Bringing the A's within 2. Wow.
Wow is right.
What a night for Bradley.
Yeah, remember we talked about game 1s. Milton Bradley always showing flashes of that 5-tool reputation that he has had. Saw a lot of those tools tonight. He had some outstanding defensive plays, going out of the yard both right and left-handed.
Boy, Thomas got a hanging breaking ball right there and missed it.
Boy, that is picture. Oh my goodness! Look at that swing. Look at the balance.
The
Bradley
extension.
Equally as devastating from the right side. Far fewer at-bats hitting right-handed. Nearly as many home runs.
Struck him out. Frank Thomas, 4 at-bats, has struck out 3 times. We go to the 8th. The Tigers lead by 2. Tigers in front 7-5 as they come to bat here in the top of the 8th inning against Joe Kennedy. Kennedy came on to get the final out, leaving 2 runners stranded in the 7th. Ivan Rodriguez, Craig Monroe, and Alexis Gomez coming up in the Tiger 8th. Activity in both bullpens. For the Tigers, they have Fernando Rodney getting loose. He pitched a couple of innings in last night's game.
And Leland was talking before the ball game.
On the ground to the shortstop. 1 away.
But he didn't want to use Rodney if he didn't have to tonight. But he's got that 7-5 lead, and he needs a big guy.
I liked what he said after that, though, Lou. So a lot of people might have been asking me last night with a 4-run lead, you know, why I'm bringing in Rodney, why I'm bringing in Zamaya, why I'm bringing in my closer. He said this time of year, I'm not going to lose a playoff game without my best guys on the mound.
Yeah, your players would wonder if you lose a ball game without your best people out there.
Well, his point always is if I bring in someone who isn't my best and they give it up, I have to bring in my best after them anyway. Might as well start with my best.
And the thing about Leland through the years, he's always said, I'm not afraid to lose today to be able to win tomorrow. Meaning during the course of a 162 game schedule, there are going to be times when you do run maybe your 4th or 5th or 6th guy out of that bullpen into a situation to make sure you save somebody else that you might need the next day, but not in the playoffs.
Not in postseason.
Been a big night for Monroe. In near a strike. Let's send it down to Chris Myers.
Tom, Craig Monroe, one of those believers in Jim Leyland. Monroe, one of 9 current Tigers from that 2003 team that lost 119 games. He said Leyland came in, gave us players a chance to find out who we are, and instead of wondering how we would lose, he focused on telling us to think which guy will win it for us tonight. He gave me a chance. He's given other guys a chance, as we've seen the way he's worked with his starting pitchers in this series, and tonight giving the chance to Alexis Gomez.
Well, I managed against Jimmy in the National League for 3 years when he had those good Pirate teams, and it was always a challenge. He handled his pitching very, very well. And your best chances with him is if you had some type of matchup coming off your bench that could counter some of his moves.
Of course, your 1990 Cincinnati Reds beat Jim Leyland's Pittsburgh Pirates in a 6-game National League Championship Series that year.
Some of the best baseball I have ever seen played on both sides.
That ball hammered down the left field line, and it is a foul ball by maybe a foot or 2 at most.
Well, Monroe gets a fastball, and he just drilled that ball. The ball just hooked right at the last second. Umpire Riley's had 2 tough calls over there tonight.
Yeah, that's tough right down there. That's a good-looking balanced swing, and the poor little girl down there at the end got hit right off the shoulder. She tried to get out of the way, and the ball just kept finding her.
Monroe is swinging a miss for strike 3. Boy, he's had a good night tonight, though. Couple of hits, 2 runs batted in, and now Alexis Gomez getting a start tonight for Jim Leyland in his 6th inning. A 2-run home run to right center field. He's driven in 4 of the 7 Detroit runs.
Pretty nice swing, Steve.
What a guy busting onto the scene.
Boy, now he's trying to bunt for a base hit.
Do a little bit of everything.
You see right there, Gomez in 103 at-bats, appearing in 62 games, knocked in 6 runs all year. 2/3 that number here tonight.
Well, Leyland's feeling like a genius now just by having him in the lineup.
Bouncing ball up the middle. Jimenez lifted.
And that's where Oakland misses Ellis. A few balls tonight have found that hole up the middle. And one of the constants for Oakland all year has been their outstanding defense.
It's just lack of concentration right here. You don't get the short hop out of that. And Gomez doesn't run that well. You have enough time to make this play. He just didn't get around it and in front of it. Right off the tip of the webbing of your glove.
E4. So now Brandon Inge bats with a man aboard and 2 out here in the 8th inning. Detroit 7 runs, 10 hits. The Athletics 5 runs and 8 hits.
Yeah, Ron Washington's done an outstanding job with those infielders from Oakland, but boy, he's going to have them working a little harder over in Detroit.
Well, he didn't know he'd have to go 3 or 4 on the depth chart for his middle infield in this postseason. Mark Ellis committed 2 errors the entire season as their everyday second baseman when healthy.
There he is talking to Ron Washington.
Well, Ken Maka couldn't say enough in our conversation with him about Ron Washington and the job he's done. Bouncing ball down to third. Chavez, the short way to win the inning. So here come the Athletics in the 8th. Chavez, Payton, Swisher. They're hoping for more. The League Championship Series on Fox, brought to you by Sharp Aquos. Nothing is lost. By XM Radio, 100 channels, 170 channels. to find what turns you on beyond AM, beyond FM, XM, and by EA Sports. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2007 in stores now. Bottom of the 8th inning. Fernando Rodney takes over on the mound. And he faces Eric Chavez, Jay Payton, and Nick Swisher.
2 out of the 3 hitters that he should face in this inning are left-handed. Rodney's outstanding against left-handers, mainly because of the great changeup that he has, and started him off with a changeup for a strike.
Looked like another one.
Yeah. You see that late down and away movement. He's got such great arm action on it. He gets hitters to swing at his motion rather than the ball.
Well, the secret with the changeup is that good arm speed. Hitter can't pick it up.
It's amazing to think both Rodney and his right-handed running mate down in that bullpen, Joe Zamaya, each of them faced exactly 109 left-handed batters this year. Rodney only gave up 22 hits, so they hit 202 against him. Zamaya only gave up 20. They hit 183 against him. And when your top 2 right-handers coming out of the bullpen are allowing a 200 batting average to left-handed hitters, the opponents are in a world of hurt.
And 3 of the first 4 pitches, changeups. Well, Rodney does it with the changeup. Zamaya does it with velocity.
No sign of Zamaya.
And then you've got Walker over there that does a nice job. He's saving him for a specialty lefty just in case he needs him.
2-2 to count on Eric Chavez leading off the Oakland 8th inning. Detroit leading 7-5 in game 2 of this championship series, and Chavez gone swinging.
Well, it's nice to be able to rear back and throw 96 on your fastball too if you're thinking changeup and it just blows you away.
Number 16, Jay Payton.
And nothing special about that pitch. He basically threw it belt high and said, I've thrown you 3 changeups already. If you've got that in the back of your mind, you're never catching up with this one.
Right over the top, and he just let it go.
Now Jay Payton 1 for 3, singled in the 4th, line to center in the 6th. He's down a strike. The A's scored in the opening inning on a single by Milton Bradley. But in the 2nd inning, the Tigers scored the game on a double, a ground out, and a fly ball. A 2-run home run by Bradley in the 3rd made it 3-1 Athletics. But then in the very next half inning, Esteban Loaiza touched for 4 runs on 4 hits to make it a 5-3 game. It went to 7-3 on a 2-run home run by Gomez in the 6th. And the Athletics with single runs in the 6th inning on a home run by Chavez. And then in the 7th, the 2nd homer of the game by Bradley. But they're down 2, and they're down to their final 5 outs.
You know, in Oakland, when they score 4 or more runs, are 79-24 for the season.
It's an outstanding record, and it's a tribute to their outstanding pitching staff. The opposite side of that coin is that the Tigers are the best in Major League Baseball at winning games if they score 4 or less, which is even a greater tribute to the pitching staff on that team.
Oh, yeah. Swing and a miss by Payton. Foul tipped. In fact, into the mid of Ivan Rodriguez. Back-to-back strikeouts for Rodney. This more to see moment presented by Sharp Aquos Liquid Crystal Television. Milton Bradley, a home run left-handed, a home run right-handed. First Athletic to ever do that. And he becomes the 6th player in A's franchise history to knock in 4 runs in a postseason game.
Well, Rodney's come in here and just blown 2 fastballs by 2 pretty good hitters.
Now Nick Swisher. First pitch change up, a strike.
Now, you know Swisher's going to see some change-ups here. That's where he's had his problems this year. Great fastball hitter. Really has had trouble with breaking stuff and changeups.
Here we see Thomas, Swisher, and Scudero. Hitless in 19 at-bats through the first 2 games of this LCS. And we said it earlier. And it's not going out on a limb, not telling anybody something they don't know. If Swisher and Thomas are not driving in runs, the A's have no chance.
Well, Swisher's always been a streaky type hitter. He's a little cold now. Hopefully he'll get going for Oakland's sake.
Oh.
Well, I think he was totally fooled on this pitch. I think he was sitting on a changeup for a fastball, and he threw him the changeup. He was way, way out in front, pulled his head, had no chance on that pitch.
Going to see another one. Either bounce a changeup or throw him a high fastball here.
Threw a fastball at 98 right by him. Fernando Rodney fans the side in the 8th. At the end of 8, when the Tigers lead, they're 83-4. Tigers bat in the top of the 9th inning against the Oakland closer, Houston Street. Street pitched in all 3 games in the Division Series sweep of Minnesota. We told Chris Myers before the game he definitely felt like he had to get in this game tonight. He didn't want to go 6 days since pitching in a game, including an off day tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a good move by Ken Maka here to get his closer into the ball game and keeping him relatively sharp.
I think that's one of the things that you don't really think about in the playoffs all that much. And we talked about that in yesterday's ball game. The fact that if you do get good pitching performances from your starters, you're not going to use your pen as much, or some guys won't get it used as much. You have your 4th starter or 5th starter in the pen. They don't stay sharp from lack of use.
You know, and you talk about the difference in both leagues. In the National League, you use your bullpen a lot more because of the fact that the pitcher has to hit and you got the double switches. So it's a little harder, believe it or not, in the American League for a manager to work his bullpen and keeping people sharp.
3-1 on Granderson. That ball kissed into deep right center field. Racing back is Kotze. Gone. Granderson, his 3rd home run of this postseason, and what a big one that one is. The spread goes from 2 to 3.
Well, you watch how quick this kid's swing is. You're talking about a guy who's really maturing right before our eyes. 174 strikeouts during the year. Watch how quick that hands are through the hitting zone. And that's some good pop. 19 home runs during the regular season, 3 in the postseason. He struck out 1 time in the postseason, 174 during the year, turning himself into a pretty good player.
Neifi Perez with a 1-0 count. Fouled out of play.
This kid's a star in the making right here. Bright, funny, smart kid. Double major at the University of Illinois in Chicago.
That grew up on the south side of Chicago as a White Sox fan.
Good-looking young man.
Yep.
He's got it all going for him, and he is one of those guys that they talked about. I said, come on, he struck out 174 times, and they said, you know what? He's not one of those guys that just strikes out and goes and sits down. It bothers him. He knows he's going to get better. We threw him in a leadoff role. He's not necessarily a leadoff hitter. We hope he grows into one. The strikeouts will go down, and the hits will go up.
And let's not forget the great job he's done in that big ballpark in center field.
He can go get him.
1-1 to count on Neifi Perez. And it's in the air left field. Should be the first out of the inning, and it is. Well, fellas say, look, this game's not over. But, you know, a lot of us didn't have a chance to see the Tigers play much during this regular season. I mean, you'd look in the box score every day or jump online at night, and you knew they were winning night after night after night after night. After starting the year at 7-7, Jim Leyland rips into his team, lets him have it. They become the best team in Major League Baseball until Polanco got hurt and they drifted near the end. But after watching them again here in back-to-back games so far, this is a really impressive club. They can hit. They've got dynamite pitching. And you talk about power arms in that bullpen. Very, very impressive.
And power out of that bullpen wins in postseason. Bats are a little more tired. You've done a little more traveling. You're a little more nicked up. Your legs are not sprite. They're a little heavier.
Speak for yourself, all nicked up over there with your head the way it is.
And all of a sudden you got to face these young men coming out of that bullpen throwing the ball 96, 97, 98, and 100 miles an hour. And a crafty veteran like Jones closing ball games, it's a tough assignment. You're really shortening the ball game.
Well, you rode that train back in 1990. In fact, won the final 2 games of the World Series in this very ballpark, sweeping the heavily favored Oakland Athletics.
It was called simply the Nasty Boys.
Norm Charlton, Rob Dibble, Randall Kirk Myers.
And let's not forget Jose Rijo either.
Oh, no. He was the MVP. I love the story you told earlier today about taking Tom Browning out of Game 3 here in Oakland after giving up a couple of home runs.
Yeah, he wasn't too pleased. I said, Tom, just give me the ball and go have a beer. What we got coming out of that bullpen, this one's over.
Oh, and you can turn a 9-inning game into a 7-inning game.
On the ground. And that'll end the inning, but Street gives up the home run to Granderson. And Leland going to let him know that Todd Jones is coming from the pen.
Watch the postseason on Fox. I live for this. You live for this. The whole world lives for this.
Todd Jones.
Oakland Athletics come to bat here in the bottom half of the 9th inning. They trailed the Detroit Tigers 8-5. They're down in this series 1-0. And now on a pitch. He saved 37 games during the regular season. Todd Jones.
Second tour of duty with the Detroit Tigers. Played for them in a couple of lean years, went away, and now came back when it means something.
Well, a younger Todd Jones threw harder, but this older guy knows how to pitch.
0-1 account. Marco Scutaro to start things. Adam Melhuse has moved into the on-deck circle and would bat for Jimenez. And then back to the leadoff man, Jason Kendall.
I want to know what kind of gum Jones is chewing, because he's certainly enjoying it.
Jones blew 6 saves during the regular season. He's ahead 1-2 on Scutaro. Verlander in line for the win. 5 1/3 innings. Good innings, not great innings. 7 hits, gave up 4 runs. Kenny Rogers will get the ball in Game 3 at Comerica Park on Friday night. And Rich Harden, the enormously talented young Oakland right-hander who's been hurt almost the entire season. Of course, the Athletics huddled 10 members of their brain trust together before this series began to try and decide whether it would be Esteban Loaiza or Rich Harden to start this game 2. The vote wound up 5-5 as Scutaro has gone looking to begin the ninth. Tonight's Chevrolet player of the game, Alexis Gomez. The Tigers depending on Alexis Gomez tonight. And you can log on to WorldSeries.com/Fox Sports and vote for your most dependable player on the postseason. plus a chance to win Chevy's most dependable truck, the all-new Silverado. Adam Melhuse to bat for D'Angelo Jimenez. In there, strike. Verlander in line to pick up his first postseason win, and this is his first postseason. A no decision in that Game 2 divisional series start over the Yankees. But the bottom line is, both games Verlander has started, the Tigers are trying to turn into wins.
Well, tonight he didn't have his best stuff, but the Detroit hitters did their job.
Brought it up earlier, going back to 1985 with a best-of-7 LCS. Melhuse shoots one foul. 8 times the home team lost the first 2 games of an LCS. Not one came back to win the series. Not one. But who would have thought when the Red Sox were down 3-0 against the Yankees that they would come back and win 4 in a row. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series coming your way tomorrow night. 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. 5 straight Oakland Athletics have struck out. That ties a League Championship Series record. And make it 6.
Well, that's about 13 strikeouts tonight for the Detroit Tiger pitching staff.
It's like you said, Jones doesn't throw as hard as he used to, but he's just so much a better pitcher now than he was when he was younger. Most experienced pitchers learn that you don't have to throw it all that hard, and you can still get some guys out. And a lot of guys on this staff that throw it really hard. Jones isn't one of them. He is.
0-1 to count on Kendall. 13 of the 26 outs recorded by Tiger pitching have been strikeouts. Soft liner into right field finds a hole. Boy, that's why that run in the top of the 9th inning was such a huge run for the Tigers. Because the A's, with a 2-run spread, the proverbial bloop and a blast from tying it.
Well, those tack-on runs late in the ball game are huge.
The A's came back to win 48 times this season. 3rd most come from behind wins in all of baseball, behind only Minnesota and the Yankees. But they're down 3 and they're down to their final out.
And Kotsay needs to act like a leadoff hitter here. You got to get Milton Bradley. He's having an outstanding day to the plate. Home run right here for the A's doesn't really help you all that much. You need a home run when it's going to tie or put you ahead in a ball game. He needs to just get on base, get Bradley to the plate.
2-0. Lou, if you're the manager, he's taken twice here. Yay or nay?
I agree. He's got to get on base. You need to get the tying run up to the plate. Now the other thing, the base runner, Kendall, should have stolen second base. They're not holding him on. And the reason I say it negates the force play at second base.
And they were nowhere near Kendall. And Kendall can run.
Kotsay was taken twice all the way. Well, we know Kendall will start now. Kotsay's been on base 3 times, a pair of doubles, a walk, and a run. Pair of runs scored. Jones trying to put it away. And Kotsay fouls it off to stay alive. Can the Athletics get Milton Bradley to the plate? He stands in the on-deck circle with 3 hits, 2 of them home runs. He would be the tying run. Served out of play.
Now this is the kind of at-bat that you look for and would expect out of Kotsay at the plate. Battling, doing his best to try to do anything he can to get on base. Work the count full, fouling pitches off. Trying to look for a mistake from Jones.
Yeah, that pitch there was in a perfect location. He just slapped it foul into the stands.
Three and 2 to Kotsay. And a little flare into left center field, and Bradley will bat. Representing a tying run. Bradley had an RBI single in the first inning, then came to bat with a man aboard in the third. Home run to right center field off Verlander. Then in the 7th from the right side. Home run against Ledesma. Can Bradley pull the hat trick here in the bottom of the 9th? Bradley has never had a 3-homer game. Tonight wouldn't be a bad time to.
Well, he's going to be trying.
These fans are all up in their seats.
And a soft liner over the mound. This could be a hit throw, not in time.
Well, the A's got the guy they want up, and it was a better matchup for Big Thomas than with a guy like Zumaya or Rodney to throw harder.
Any of the power pitchers. Frank, now late in his career, has become a dead pull hitter. He's going to be looking for something middle in. People try to get him out inside. If you miss, 39 homers on the year.
Bases loaded. Thomas looks at a strike. Frank Thomas is the winning run. With the sacks juiced here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Kendall, Kotsay, Bradley. 3 consecutive singles after the first 2 were retired. Breaking ball away, and Pudge Rodriguez smothering that pitch.
Thomas said this has been most fun season he's ever had because of the fans here in Oakland. He went a month and a half and he was hitting $190. They stayed with him, and then when he turned it on, they rode his coattails.
One of those walk-off home runs this season. Frank Thomas here in the bottom of the 9th inning. His career resurrected in 2006 after 2 injury-plagued seasons. What a moment for Thomas here in the bottom of the 9th. High fly ball. Outfield very deep, but Granderson charging hard, and the Tigers nail it down. And they've come to Oakland in this league championship series and won the first 2 games on enemy turf.
Boy, that shows you how this game is. I mean, you talk about a game of inches. Forget about that. This is a great swing that Frank Thomas put on this swing. Boy, about a quarter of an inch away from hitting it a mile. Pops it straight up. Oh.
And it was a good pitch to hit for Frank, too.
Everything right there, puts a great swing on it, just doesn't square it up. The difference between a harmless fly ball that gives one team a win and a ball that might have still be going if he hit it and would have been a grand slam and won the game for the Athletics.
Let's send it downstairs. Standing by with Todd Jones is Chris Myers.
All right, he just got a hug from Jim Leland. You all right? The adrenaline pumping, Todd?
Yeah, I'm really good. You know, that was great. It was a lot of fun. Frank's an intimidating force when he's in the box. I don't think he can fit in the box. He's so big and tall, but what a challenge. It was a lot of fun. We're up 2-0. We're going back to Detroit, and everybody back home in Alabama saw me play. It was great. We had a good time.
It's a great moment. Just talk about that at bat with Frank and what that last pitch was that got him.
Well, heck, I mean, you know, I got to go at him as hard as I can, and he popped the fastball up. I got away with one, but you know, I mean, you just stay confident and try to keep your composure. You know, the bullpen did awesome tonight, and I'm just trying to finish it off.
All right, congratulations again, Todd Jones and Justin Verlander. All right, yeah, nice work there. Justin, you're probably just as nervous watching the starting pitcher. Tell us what was going through your mind when the bases were loaded here.
Oh man, you know, that was pretty exciting. You know, I've got the utmost faith in Jonesy, though. You know, he's gotten the job done all year. You know, it made it a little bit exciting, but he got it done.
Key moment when you had a 2-run lead in the 5th. Jim Leland came out, said something to you. What were the words?
Well, you know, he just told me not to get too excited. Just, you know, make pitches, focus on this hitter, and, you know, go after him.
Does it really say bringing it on your license plate on your car?
Yeah, it does. That's a long story. It was a present for my father in high school. So, you know, I got a...
and he was watching tonight, right?
Yeah, he sure was. Watching back in Goochland, Virginia with the hometown crowd.
All right, we'll be watching on Friday night, all right?
All right,
thanks.
thank you.
All right, Justin, have a safe trip back to Detroit. Tom?
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. The producer of tonight's game, Jeff Cowan. Our director, Jim Lynch. Our associate directors, Carol Langley McDermott and Eric Billigmeyer. And our broadcast associates, Brian Biederman and Yvonne Wagner. Our technical producer, Dan Rotante. The senior producer of Fox Sports, Bill Brown. The executive producers, David Hill and Ed Gorin. For Steve Lyons, Lou Pinella, Chris Myers, our entire crew, Tom Brenneman saying thanks so much for joining us. The Tigers rolling back to the Motor City, leading 2-0, trying to get to the World Series for the first time since '84. Jeannie and Kevin coming up after this.